and it's given us thriller after thriller after thriller. This is Blaney's final shot at it. He goes up high. There's traffic low.
This was the last memory I have of the 2024 NASCAR season. Why? Because I turned away from it right at this very moment, which has never happened before. Usually when the NASCAR season concludes, no matter the driver or what shenanigans the playoffs produce, I still end up watching the post-race and seeing the championship presentation regardless of the outcome. This time around, that wasn't the case. The 2024 NASCAR season has just concluded, which means it's officially the off season, and for the first time ever, I'm glad it's here. Something I never thought I would say as a NASCAR fan, but here we are. I want to let y'all know something right now. I will spend the first half of this video venting, but in the second half, I will offer my ideas on how to make the sport go in the right direction. And no, it's not what I personally want to see, but I feel like it's a compromise of what the fans want and what NASCAR and the TV partners want. I know it's people out there that hate hearing people vent, so I'll do y'all a favor. Fast forward to this timestamp of the video if you don't feel like hearing me rant. Okay, let's get into it. So this may come off as unpopular, but I didn't enjoy this NASCAR season. So many people are going to point to the many close finishes that happened this year, and yeah, that's cool, but that doesn't save a season. The lows of this year outweighs the positives. The horrible officiating, the championship format continuing to rear its ugly head, the racing still overall sucks at short tracks and road courses, the lawsuit that's going on. I can go on if I wanted to. Trust me, I hate to sound like a negative Nancy, but you just can't pretend that these problems don't exist. I mean, there's people in the NASCAR industry that will try to tell you otherwise, but let's not pay attention to those who gets a paycheck from NASCAR. I can't express how important this offseason is for NASCAR. Things need to change, seriously. NASCAR can't just go into 2025 and say it's business as usual, because clearly how the way they ran business over the past decade is not doing the sport any favors. But I sit here and say all of this, and it just seems like their heads are still buried in the sand just going off of the recent State of the Sport address. It's like they refuse to look at themselves and say, okay, we get it, we need to change. They just seem so unaware of how pissed off everyone is, from the fans, drivers, and team owners. Going back to the 2024 State of the Sport address for a minute, it was infuriating. They addressed so many aspects of the sport, and it was the same bullshit responses we get every year. And listen, I'm not sitting here saying to tear down your own sport, but at least make it so that you're aware of the problems that's staring you right in the face instead of saying everything is fine, because it's clearly not. And while yes, they gave the same responses they usually give every year, it hit different this time around because of how the way the year ended. The lack of accountability by saying shit like we don't have an officiating problem. Get the fuck out of here. If that's the case, why is Eldon Sawyer coming out just about every week addressing a questionable call they made? That is such a bold statement to make when there's so many examples of them fucking up in the tower. And I'm not just talking about this year. NASCAR continues to be tone deaf about how we crown a champion in this series. Well, until just recently. It took them 10 freaking years, but more on that later. They refused to add horsepower to the car to see if that would improve the racing. Shit, it seemed like they giving up on working on the car at the moment at least, and instead they're relying on Goodyear to bail them out. You know what's crazy? I find it odd that we, the fans, are on the side of wanting legitimacy and fairness, while those in the industry are on the opposite side and could care less about the integrity of the sport. You would think it would be the other way around. It's just a total mess, and that's barely scratching the surface. You can go ahead and tell me and other fans out there to quit watching if we don't like what we're seeing with the sport, and my response to those people is this: that's exactly what's been happening. When people say they're done with the sport, do y'all really think they're just saying that just to say it? And yes, there is some people that's guilty of that and continue to watch anyway, but when you look at the ratings and how many grandstands that's been torn down at each racetrack over the years, yeah, a lot of people have dipped. You guys can sit there and say that, but it's so many people that's taking y'all advice over the years. Something to keep in mind is that NASCAR is going to take a hit in the ratings in 2025 because there's going to be more races on cable. And then on top of that, they're taking a gamble with streaming, which I'm actually not against. I'm glad they're finally dipping their toe into streaming because the hope is to attract that younger demographic that NASCAR so desperately needs, because it has one of the oldest fan bases in America. But it's not a guarantee that going to streaming will attract that younger audience, so that's why I say it's a gamble. NASCAR has ran off so many of his fans over the years, and something I saw a lot more than usual after this recent season concluded was the amount of people saying that they're done with the sport. And I don't think it's a bunch of BS from majority of them that said that. So it's really not looking good for NASCAR going into 2025, and ratings can be even lower than already expected because they managed to get so many people to their breaking point during 2024. I seen some people say, oh, you're not a true fan if you stop watching. Okay, hold up. With anything in life, you can only tolerate something to a certain point, and if it doesn't improve over time, you give up on it. Especially when you made your message clear time and time again of what you want and don't want to see time and time again. If I didn't care about NASCAR, I wouldn't be making this video right now. And yeah, I know some people like me may come off harsh, but that's because I know NASCAR could be so much better than what it is now. It's just tough love. Me and many fans use social media platforms to let our voices be heard, and the thing that's pissing so many of us off is that our criticism falls on deaf ears majority of the time. And after not being listened to, I don't blame those people that just say, fuck it, I'm done with this shit. We're being slapped in the face as NASCAR fans and we deserve so much better, but NASCAR has to wake up and realize what's going on around them instead of just ignoring fans and making stupid comments like calling everyone on social media bots. It's time to look in the mirror and quit fucking around and make some changes that's going to take the sport in the right direction. They don't have to overhaul everything during this off season, but over the next 2 to 3 years, NASCAR as a sport got to show everyone that they're actually listening. It's very possible to bring back the fans that they ran off and attract new ones. What can they do? Well, I have quite a few ideas. I know everything isn't easy to fix, but most of the stuff is in the hands of NASCAR and they can make these changes anytime they want. So here's what I got to offer. First, let's address something that had everyone talking to end the 2024 season, and that's the playoff system.
I don't like you! Don't you get it? Nobody likes you! Get it? Get it, 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 get it?
You know, we wouldn't be sitting here having a conversation just about every fucking year about how we decide to crown our champion in NASCAR if they just would have done the simple change of awarding more points for race wins going into the 2004 season. But nope, let's decide to bring a postseason into auto racing even after drivers and fans made it pretty clear that they didn't want this shit to begin with. And here we are 20 years later still stuck with it. How much longer do we have to endure this? How much more proof do you need that this shit isn't successful? What is it gonna take? How do you not see what everyone else sees? Don't sit here and tell me what I already know. The playoffs aren't going anywhere, I understand that. After all, this clown made it pretty clear in the recent State of the Sport address. A full season points format will always be the most fair way to crown a champion in my opinion, but NASCAR and the TV networks feel like a season-long points format is outdated, which is completely false. I'm not trying to hear that shit. What I'm also not trying to hear is a more complicated way to crown a champion. After NASCAR made it be known that they're open to making some adjustments to the playoffs, you started seeing all of these ideas thrown around from fans, the media, and etc. And most of the formats I've seen are pretty complicated. Why do we have to make this shit so hard to understand? When you explain how you crown a champion in racing, it shouldn't take minutes to explain. It should take seconds. Under a full season points format, all you had to say was, whoever accumulates the most points throughout 36 races is your champion. 5 bonus points for leading a lap and an extra 5 for leading the most laps. Even with the playoffs, wait, the chase. Let's start calling this the chase again, by the way. When the chase first came about, it wasn't hard to grasp either. So how about we go back to that, and the only changes I'll make to it is having all your chase points you earned throughout the regular season carry over to the chase. And I'm gonna make wins matter more by doing this. Instead of getting 1 chase point for winning a stage, that would now be 5 chase points. For a race win, it would be 10 chase points awarded. This makes stage wins and race wins mean more. No linear end, no one race determining the champion. You want a large enough sample size to determine the champion. 3 races would be better than what we got now, but that's still not enough, so let's go back to 10 races. No eliminations, no 16 drivers making up the chase, which is too fucking many. It will be the 2004 to 2006 chase format with changes I just listed off. While this still isn't the most fair way to determine the champion, at least it strikes a good balance of legitimacy and entertainment. And it's easier for the hardcore and casual fans to understand. Let's talk about this damn Generation 7 car. Man, the NASCAR executives really love to be stubborn. Of course, drivers and fans want more horsepower, but when you got the OEM saying that they can make more horsepower without it costing more, and NASCAR refuses to go along with it anyway, that just tells you how stubborn they are. We've been hearing about potential new manufacturers joining the sport since what, 2013, and nobody still has yet to join. NASCAR has been cutting horsepower down since 2015 to hopefully attract new OEMs, and it hasn't worked. Obviously, horsepower isn't the ultimate fix, but I do think it would definitely help things out. Take the taper spacer off for at least the road courses and short tracks. But outside of horsepower, it's other issues with the car. It's so aero sensitive. You can't upset the car in front of you, the tires aren't wearing out, and all of these flaws have made it to where track position is everything. So what should they do outside of adding horsepower? Listen to the crew chief ideas. What do I mean when I say that? Over the summer, a bunch of crew chiefs from Cliff Daniels, Chris Gapehart, and others chimed in on how you can make this car race better. I remember them bringing up having to rear the car up off the ground and the front of it down, and this is to get it to where the trailing car is not at a huge disadvantage. Also, they need to narrow the tires some. If you can't do that, maybe experiment with some groove tires. I'm not an expert, NASCAR doesn't seem to know how to improve the racing, so why not sit down with these crew chiefs and get their inputs? Because at the end of the day, they're the experts. Let's address green-white checkers. Having no limit to these is just insane, and I'm shocked it's going on this long. I'm on a team of end the race at the scheduled distance, but I know I'm on an island alone when it comes to that. So let's cut it down to one green-white checker. Sometimes you gotta protect the drivers from themselves. Yeah, it sucks when the race ends on the caution, but guess what?
But you're gonna have to deal with it.
You can be mad and disappointed, but don't be throwing shit onto the track because you didn't get a green finish. One green-white checker is meeting right in the middle. Yeah, you can still end up seeing some tomfoolery happen, but at least it won't go on and on and on like how it does now with having unlimited green-white checkers. When it comes to officiating, I don't know if you have to put more people in the control tower or what, but you can't be constantly fucking up calls like this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Y'all fucking get it. NASCAR needs to be quicker and more consistent with calls. Just use common sense. I understand they're not gonna get every call right, but you can't be consistently messing up because it makes NASCAR look like a clown show. Are these people even professionals in the tower? Eldon Sawyer shouldn't have to come out every freaking week to address the media about a questionable call they made. Find a way to clean this up going forward. Next on the list, get rid of the damaged vehicle policy. Enough said. So can we just get 1 hour of practice? Is that really asking for too much? I understand the days of having 3 or more practice sessions are over, but I feel like giving these guys at least an hour will be much more meaningful than 20 minutes. And can we stop with these groups? Can we just have a straight up simple qualifying format? One car at a time, they get 2 laps and then I don't know, fastest to slowest determines the starting lineup instead of having this stupid ass shit in place. Like I said, stop making things so complicated because all you're doing is pissing off the fan base by doing just that. Now, one race that I do think deserves a ton of practice sessions is your biggest race of the year, and that's the Daytona 500. It looks so stupid that your biggest race of the year doesn't even have a practice session before they go out to qualify. When Denny Hamlin entered a third 2311 racing car in the 2023 Daytona 500 for Travis Pastrana, they had to go out to a fucking parking lot to help with his pit road launches. But hey, they called this the biggest race of the year. Make it feel like that. It won't kill NASCAR to add more practice for at least the Daytona 500. Come on now. Every racetrack needs to have good reception. Now, I know they've been working on this and I can tell because I've been to Michigan twice. I went in 2022 and I couldn't connect to shit when I went there that year. But when I went back in 2024, I had reception. I feel like this is very important so fans can post their experience from the racetrack ASAP. And guess what? That increases the chances of NASCAR getting the trend to the top, especially if that race is a marquee event. Despite of what you think of social media, it's an important part of growing pretty much anything. Hopefully they can hurry up and get it to where it's not a struggle trying to connect to the internet at all of the racetracks. Stages. Want to reward points at certain parts of the race? Go right ahead, but throwing out a couple of fake cautions at every race for entertainment purposes? That's not cool. I could have sworn this wasn't received well from the fans when they tried this shit in the truck series, and yeah, that was worse, but we didn't want to see planned cautions in general, but what did they end up doing anyway? Proceed to bring it to the Cup Series. because NASCAR doesn't listen. Now, like I said, I'm trying to compromise. TV loves stage cautions, so I'm not gonna say completely get rid of them, but when it comes to the road courses and super speedways, please do away with them. It limits the strategy for road courses, and sometimes depending on the driver's point situation, they end up sacrificing the win. It's the weirdest shit ever. Now, they eliminated stage cautions in 2023 for the road courses, but ended up bringing them back because the races were quote unquote not exciting. Have you ever thought about, I don't know, the fucking car being the reason for that? When it comes to super speedways, I also feel like throwing out 2 fake cautions at these type of places is dumb because, well, they're gonna be bunched up all day anyway unless NASCAR makes huge changes to the super speedway package, which honestly needs work as well. Give me this type of plate racing back, please and thank you. Anyway, the rest of the tracks like 1.5 miles, short tracks, 2-mile tracks, you can keep the cautions. I'll be fine with that. I would like them gone everywhere, but once again, I'm trying to compromise here. Chill the fuck out with the commercials. I understand the bills gotta get paid, but you can't be shoving commercials in our face, especially when it's a big event like the Daytona 500 and other marquee events. How do you expect people to stay engaged with the race when it's a commercial break every 5 or 6 minutes of the broadcast? The sport gets the most eyeballs for the Daytona 500 still to this day, but viewership for that race has dropped dramatically, and there's many reasons for that, but I think the main reason is the egregious amount of commercials they play. As much as I and many others want to experience commercial-free coverage, it's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think. So can they just do nothing but side by side for at least when the race is green, and then when a caution happens they can go to full screen commercials? I feel like NASCAR is one of the few motorsports and just sports in general where we're missing the action because of commercials. That has to change. I look at F1 and most people will say that the racing isn't better than NASCAR, but it's much easier to stay engaged in the race because of the coverage not getting interrupted by commercials. Seriously man, that has to change ASAP. Now, I talked about this in another video before, so I don't want to dive too much into it because I don't want this video to eclipse 30 minutes, but NASCAR and the drivers have to promote themselves. Get these guys in front of mainstream media. Kyle Larson has Prime as one of his sponsors. Okay, get him on Logan Paul's podcast. Have Prime be the primary sponsor for a few races. Have him do Prime commercials. Ross Chastain is one of the most relatable drivers in the field. Do more with him. Chase Elliott, who is the most popular driver in NASCAR, needs to be in more commercials. Let's bring NASCAR commercials back in general. If we gotta endure commercials, can they be at least NASCAR commercials instead of these weak ass cringy commercials that get shown to us every week? I know NASCAR has that full speed show on Netflix, and yes, that's what we need more of. Keep pushing in that direction. Let's get our stars out there. They themselves need to get out there more to help the sport grow. I'm mainly looking at you, Chase Elliott. I know this is a long ass video, but I'm almost done. Just hang with me here. So these are some of the main things I want NASCAR to address in the next 2 to 3 years. I think it's realistic if they can finally get out of their own way, and honestly, I think NASCAR will have to get sold in order to see some true change. And you just hope it's sold to some entity that's actually going to make some good changes. By the way, I feel like I did a good job compromising. I feel like I'm meeting right in the middle that can hopefully satisfy a good portion of the fan base and the TV networks. Now, before I wrap it up, I got one personal request. I talked about the chase earlier and how it's not going anywhere. For at least the Cup Series. Can the Xfinity and Truck Series go back to a full season points format so you can somewhat satisfy people like me? Yes, I so badly want this system back in place for Cup, but if we can't get it for the Cup Series, can we at least have it for the lower series? By doing this, you're not only shutting up people like me, but you're also making the chase feel very valued again. The chase has been watered down so much over the years for many reasons, and one of those reasons is because NASCAR implemented this format for the lower series, and for those who are newer fans, that hasn't always been the case. From 2004 to 2015, it was only the Cup Series that had a postseason in place, and it felt exclusive. Make it feel like that again. It doesn't have to be the Laffer system. I just want a full season points format to be a thing in some way in the top 3 divisions of NASCAR. So man, that's it. That's all I have to offer. No, I'm not at that point yet where I'm thinking about not watching anymore. The day I'm no longer speaking on NASCAR will tell you that I'm out. There's gonna be people that's gonna come away irritated after watching this video because I was quote unquote negative in their eyes. I'm not hating, I just want the sport I still have love for to be successful again. I want NASCAR to be big time again and not niche. I want it to be straightforward, more badass, and most importantly, I want it to be taken seriously. When NASCAR finally start to go in the right direction, only time will tell. So after listening to all of that, trust me, I know it was a lot. What are y'all thoughts on NASCAR currently? Do you agree with some of my ideas I thrown out there? Are you on the verge of not watching anymore? Did the 2024 season get you to your breaking point? Or are you one of those people that's gonna watch no matter what? Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and roll up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.